There we go. With updates and everything. I have to make sure that button is clicked because I never used to have to do that one. So a new habit to form. So, but happy Sunday. Welcome to all of you who are joining me here today in my studio. I appreciate each and every one of you coming to join me. And welcome back to those of you who've been away for a long time and are just returning. I've gotten tons and tons and tons of emails of support, which I thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to send those to me. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I took about 2 months off from doing live shows, and a little over a month of that was just basically stepping back entirely from paper crafting. I just needed that mental health rejuvenation, I think it is. So, but it's really good to be back and feeling a bit creative. We're going to move slowly, moving forward into projects. I am working to get some projects, some of the past projects that we haven't done on the shows, getting those ready to go so that we can do them. But I'm not putting things up until they are complete. So, I turned the sound on. I don't know why there wouldn't be sound. It's showing that there's sound. A lot of people are saying they have sound. Joy's calling me, and it's like a lot of you are saying you do have sound. So I have nothing else that I can turn on to turn sound on. So it sounds like everybody has it. Joy may have to reboot something. So anyway, I am going to be moving slowly forward in terms of the projects because I want them ready to go before I schedule them. I ran into problems trying to frantically get some things caught up, and by doing so, I put things on the schedule when they're really weren't quite ready, and so I was constantly chasing the project, and that just made it harder to catch up on other things. So I've just decided I'm going to have to do things at a pace that I can get them done at so that I have them complete and ready to go and I don't slip back down the hill. Yes, Joy, excuse me, you weren't hearing yet, but I am recording, so we're all good on that. This video, even with these little hiccups here in the beginning, I'm going to keep this one live here on YouTube because what we're going to be working on today is something that I'm going to be doing in the future on YouTube, and it will also be YouTube live fill-in type classes as my schedule needs that in order for me to be completing some of the things that we're going to be working on project-wise in the future. I am going to keep it to just 2 days a week to start with. We're going to be doing probably Sundays. There may be Sundays that I have to postpone it because I have some sort of family thing going on. So you'll have to just keep an eye on the schedule. Right now, I'm just going to be putting class on the schedule on my website and not necessarily putting exactly what it is until just beforehand, until we start a project, just so that if I have to give an extra day in order to get everything complete so we can start it efficiently, then that's what I'm going to do. So right now it just says class. Now, this week we're going to try it on a Tuesday. I know I've done them on Wednesdays in the past. I also did Friday classes. We're not going to have the Friday classes for the time being, but we're going to try a Tuesday and see how that works for people. If that doesn't work, we can go back to looking at Wednesday and possibly Thursday. I know Wednesday is a day that Joy many times has to work, so we're going to try for a Tuesday. Classes are also going to be in the afternoon rather than the morning for the time being, as my husband is working a different shift these days, and he is home in the mornings. He's working a 2 to 11 schedule with Boeing right now, so he's going to be he's home in the mornings, and I'd rather be able to have that time with him since I don't have the time with him in the evenings any longer. So I will be doing afternoon classes because it's then after he goes to work. So those classes during the week are from 3 to 5. As I said, we're going to try Tuesday. It may move back to Wednesdays. It may move to Thursdays. Not sure. The one day I know it won't be will be Monday. So It may even be Fridays if that is what works best for people. So, but Sundays around this time is, you can kind of count on it, though there may, as I said, there may be an occasional Sunday where we don't do a class. So I am working to, our next project that we will be working on as a project per se is the fourth Angel of the Elements series, which is the Water Angel. And that one, as soon as I have it available, we will start on that, whether it's this week on Tuesday or it's on Sunday. I can't say till tomorrow. It just depends on when I have that all completed. I don't want to say Tuesday and then I'm frantically still Tuesday morning trying to get it ready. That's what got me, part of the reason what got me into the whole as it was, because I was constantly chasing. So I'm trying to be much more proactive about completing these projects and not so reactive. So so anyway, that's where that all is. What we're going to work on today, as I have a couple of things to show you. This is kind of be a little bit of a potpourri of different things that pop in and out of my head, and I stop what I'm doing and play with, because it's just, they pop in from out of nowhere. One is something to do with album covers and potentially something that can be used with the wraparound binding. And we'll look at that real quickly first. But what we're going to be working on is what I'm calling my pet project. It has nothing to do with four-legged furry animals. So I'm sorry, Bobby. I know that you are an absolute dog lover, and we're hoping that it would be about dogs, but it has nothing to do with actual furry pets. As you know, I'm an animal lover. We have 3 cats and 2 dogs at this point. We're down to just 2 dogs. So, so much as I love them, it's not about them. What PET stands for is pockets, envelopes, and tags. And I kind of touched on this a little bit last weekend. With any album, whether it's one of my old albums, whether it's an album coming up, whether it's somebody else's album, you can always add unique tags, pockets, envelopes, and tags to any album, even as something as simple as an envelope album. Super basic type of things. You can add these to make them unique and different and your own. So we're going to be doing all sorts of different kinds of tags, different kinds of pockets, different kinds of envelopes. So pockets, envelopes, tags, the pet project. So those will be different ways you can do it. It doesn't have to be just your basic, your basic tag that you can buy at the office supply store. There's all sorts of things. I have hundreds and hundreds of ideas jotted down in my notebook, and we're just going to play with a few of those. I thought about calling it Pet Project 365, and we'd get 365 of them done this year. But I'm going, no, that puts the pressure on me to make sure I have that many completed by a year's time. And it's like, as we know, my life does not seem to fit well with having those hard deadlines. So we're just not going to go there, but we are going to be doing all sorts of different pockets, envelopes, and tags that you can add to anything. It's going to be something that I will be using in upcoming projects, the projects that I showed, the photojournalism albums that I have coming up that I showed last week as well. It can be used in Turn the Page albums. It can be used in pretty much any album, whether it's one of mine or another designer's. It doesn't matter. You can always add these little bits and pieces to anything. So, yeah. Joyce says, no birds, no cats, no dogs. So anyway, I'm excited to play around a little bit with this. But as I had mentioned, this video will stay live here on YouTube, and I will link it over on my website under the calendar, and probably in the archives as well. One of the other things that I'm working on is pulling all of we have about 6 to 9 months worth of videos that are in the schedule, but they aren't in the archives listed. And I need to get those all moved out of, I mean, my list is very long of things that I need to do. But I'm going to be pulling those and getting those into the archives, because those projects have videos, but not everybody knows exactly when we did them. But that was soon after I started putting the videos in the schedule, and I wasn't putting them in the archives because I planned, oh, I'll just move them over there, and I just haven't done it. So, as I said, the list is long. So, but we'll get to it all. It just will take some time. So, I know I did mention last week that I want, that we're going to do things on my own schedule, and people are just going to have to deal with it. I hope nobody took offense to that. I didn't intend that to be, to imply that I didn't care about all of you, because I absolutely do. But to get these things done and efficiently and into your hands, and plus add some new ones in, I've just got to do it in the time frame, and that really works, because if it works for me, it's going to work for you as well. So, alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras, and I have something fun to show you to start with. It was one of those little light bulb moments that happened this week when I went out into my garage. Trevor came over earlier this week to pick up some of his hockey gear. It's like, yay! So little bit by little bit, most of his stuff is out of the house, but we're slowly getting some of that last little bits of stuff out of our house and into his apartment. So he came and picked up a lot of his goalie gear, because he's been playing hockey, but he's been playing as a skater and not as a goalie. So he hasn't had his goalie gear. He is working as a goalie coach, but he doesn't need his goalie gear on stuff on for that. But I went out there trying to find something, because he was coming down to pick up all his gear, and they're sitting there on the shelf were these rolls and rolls of stick tape. Those of you who are not familiar with hockey, what stick tape is used for, and it typically is, well, he's more white than black, so that's why we have so much black. This is used to wrap on your stick. They walk it on the paddle part. I don't know exactly what it's called. The paddle part of the stick, and also up by the hand grip. And they wrap that. It's kind of almost part of their pregame routine. They have their own ways of doing it. It's very much a individualized thing, but they all use stick tape. Stick tape comes in off-white-ish color. It comes in black, and it comes in about a dozen other colors, and it's very easy to get a hold of. And I want to show you how all these years of hockey taking away from my scrapping and paper crafting, it's now giving back to me. So let me switch cameras, and I'll show you how hockey is now become part of my paper crafting. One of the things that has always come up when it comes to album covers is the joint. Let me grab an album. The joint of where the spine and the cover meet each other. For the last, probably 3 or 4 years now, in my kits, I've included fabric because A, I have a large supply of it still, and B, it's readily available. And it's attached to the full spine and wraps around to the cover. The beauty of this is it doesn't crack, it doesn't tear easily, and it really gives a nice, finish. You can find fabrics that'll coordinate color-wise, etc., with papers that we use and that sort of thing. So I've been using fabric on my spines for quite some time. Way back, if I could ever find that album, I think is stashed away in a box because I know I've seen it. But way back, if you all can remember who've been around for a while, I'm looking around real quick to see if I see one of them. But way back, we had an album that I called Pickpocket. And with Pickpocket, you could choose to have a vertical pocket, a horizontal pocket, or a diagonal pocket. So you could pick whichever pocket, and then it was kind of a precursor to some of the albums that I've done more recently, where you can choose your pages. So it was kind of a precursor to that. It was also a precursor to my starting to do, excuse me, different kinds of bindings. It was before I started doing Stack the Deck and the channel type bindings. It was more of a channel type binding, and on the back of it, I used a sticky back canvas. And sticky back canvas is, I think it's still available. I'm not really sure. But it was a canvas that had adhesive on the back that could be used, and I used it on that album, and it's a Ranger product, but it wasn't very easy to find, and it wasn't as readily as available as I'd like a product to be, and so we used it on the Pocket album, and I may have used it after that on a couple other projects. Getting caught on the pages. But so I used that. I also have gotten a hold of a roll of cloth tape that was used for bookbinding. And again, hard to find, and that was like really expensive because it was a roll about like this, and it was like $25. And then I was looking at cloth tape that was used in medical, because I was trying to cover those spines and attach the little channels together. But it didn't seem sticky enough because it was used, for like taping things down on the skin. It couldn't be super sticky because obviously it would like pull your hairs out and potentially pull your skin. So it wasn't sticky enough. So using a cloth medical tape was not sticky enough. And the bookbinding tape was too expensive, and duct tape, personally, I think is kind of ugly because it's shiny, and yeah, it comes in all sorts of colors, and people use it for all sorts of crafting, and people have used it in paper crafting, but I personally have always thought duct tape was kind of ugly and should stay just for its original use was on duct, but it had the right kind of stickiness. And so I just, moved along. We used the fabric for the last few years and stuff. And I really hadn't given it a lot of thought until when I went out into the garage and I saw Trevor's stick tape sitting there. And I was like, aha. And a light bulb went off in my head. This is a woven cloth tape. As I said, it comes in bunches of colors, primarily black and the off-white. And so as I said, light bulbs went off. It comes in a variety of widths, the 1.5 inch and 1 inch being the most common. This one is like 3/4 inch. It's a little bit different. So it's got a little bit different weave. It's not really necessarily a woven. It looks like it's more of a polyester. I haven't tried this one yet, so I'm not real sure. And these are 1.25 inch. So it looks like it comes in 1.25 inch, 1.5 inch. And the beauty is you could, with this, you could also, especially with the off-white one, you could color it with, see, one of the other beauties of it is it's super sticky. It in the adverse conditions, this is probably an old roll too. You don't know how many Christmas presents have been wrapped with stick tape in our house. But it could be colored with inks or dyes and that sort of thing, which is cool. It could be stamped. Probably could be embossed even. But it's super sticky and super strong. But if it will stick to a hockey stick in adverse conditions of the cold of a ice skating rink, with the velocity at which these rubber, very, very hard, cold rubber pucks are hit, and it stays stuck to a hockey stick, it's going to stay stuck to chipboard. So what I've done here is it's on both sides of a joint. See, there's the joint. I allow about 1/8 of an inch or 2 widths of your chipboard. It is a nice, easy to move joint. It's not going to crack. It's not going to tear. And it's going to stay stuck because this stuff is super, uber, duper sticky. And so, what a great way to attach a cover to a spine. You then can just put paper right over the top of it. It's not super thick. And so you can just keep your joint with the tape. You could do it again in the off-white that you can then, even after it's applied, add color to it with some distress inks. I know we have some pink somewhere around because in October, all the hockey boys do their sticks in pink for breast cancer awareness. But I know it comes in greens and blues and red and yellow. And the other thing that's really nice about it is it's super easy to get a hold of and it's inexpensive. Typically a roll of tape, of stick tape, is like $4 to $6 US. You can get it at Amazon. Then there's also the specialty hockey stores, easy to order. A place called Hockey Monkey, a place called Pure Hockey. Pure Hockey is more East Coast. Hockey Monkey is across the country. So in the US, those are the prime places. Amazon carries it, Hockey Monkey, Pure Hockey, or if you have hockey in your area, any rink that has hockey will sell stick tape. If you're in Canada, you have a myriad more choices, and probably even towns that have 3 people have an ice rink, I swear. So easy to find. I know more about Vancouver area hockey stores, the Hockey Shop being one of them. But across Canada, any hockey store is going to carry stick tape. So, and that's what it's called. It's called stick tape. It's called Hockey Monkey, yes. Yes, Kathy Girly Girl says she bought the white and the black 1.5 inch for $2.99 each from Pure Hockey. So Pure Hockey is based out of the East Coast. Hockey Monkey is across in many places across the country, but Amazon also carries it. But it's awesome. Super cool. Yeah, I mean, they've got it at Canadian Tire in Canada. And can I tell you about Canadian Tire? Canadian Tire is like taking Costco and, it's like taking Costco and a tire store and Walmart and putting them all together. It's the coolest place on the planet. It really is. It's got everything in there. I love that. So it's totally cool. Yeah, it's called Canadian Tire. They do auto stuff, but it's also like having a Costco in there as well. It's so totally cool. But anyway, but you can get stick tape there too in Canada. But it's cool stuff. But it's like, and I'm going to be starting to use this on my album covers. Yeah, they don't have food. Yeah, they don't. It's like Costco without the food plus the automotive. You know, it's just wild. So yeah, Marilyn Smoke, she's Canadian, so she knows that too. As is El Shuttle. They sell everything. Yeah, and there aren't too many even smaller towns in Canada that don't have a Canadian Tire. So, my heavy involvement in hockey over the past few years is now coming back into my paper crafting through the use of stick tape. And basically, it's just a cotton woven fabric strip with a really strong adhesive on the back that sticks to this amazingly well. And as I said, using the off-white color, you can ink this, use markers on it, use stamps on it, whatever you want to use on it. In fact, if you have a non-stick sheet that, well, this one's a dirty one, so this one won't work. You don't want it to have other stuff on it, but if you want to like stamp on it or something, and you just cut it with scissors. It's really easy, and it's cheap, so you can then you can just stamp on it, and then it'll peel right off of your nonstick sheet. You just want to make sure when you're setting it on there. This one, as I said, is kind of gross because it'll peel up whatever's on there potentially. So you can stamp on it even. You can stencil on it, whatever you want to do to turn it into whatever color you want. And so then that works perfect at that joint. You could wrap edges with it. You can do, I had thought about trying to figure out if I could use it for some of my construction type projects, but it's, in terms of trying to fold it to get it down into a corner, it would be a lot trickier because I thought, well, maybe this will work instead of using construction strips. And in some situations that will work, but I'm not going to switch to my stick tape instead of my construction strips at this point. But it is cool stuff, easy to use, and nice and strong, and sticks to my chipboard really well. So there's a little tip, a little trick of you never know where your kids' athletic stuff is going to suddenly come into play in your crafting. So I'm super stoked. I wish I had thought of this, years and years ago, because we'd have been using this for quite some time. Yeah, they'll be able to find it at about just about anywhere there in Calgary. So, but it is, you don't have to order from Canada, which is going to cost you an arm and a leg in terms of shipping, and it also take a lot of time, as I said. So the Canadians will be able to find it pretty readily in Canada, but it is pretty easy to find here in the U.S. And to be honest, there's a heck of a lot of hockey in Europe, so I'm sure you'd be able to find Europe. I'm not sure of the hockey situation in Australia. I've not heard of many hockey players coming from Australia, so that's the one I'm not really readily knowledgeable about, whether they carry any of the stick tape down there or not. But as I said, Amazon, easiest place, but Pure Hockey and Hockey Monkey are the two biggest stores in the U.S., and it's easy to order. So anyway, that was a quick and easy, fast little tip that I'm excited about. So yeah, Leslie is true. It's definitely the sport in Canada. And it's one thing driving across Canada last summer, taking Trevor's car back east. We did find it didn't matter how small the town is. Chances are they had a hockey rink, and it's like, no wonder there's so many good hockey players out of Canada. So you'll be able to find it easily up there. So, alrighty, so yeah, but Amazon, you can order it in packs of 6. Packs of 6 will probably last you a lifetime. I would say one bowl is going to be able to do a dozen or so, a couple dozen albums. So, yeah, thank Trevor for leaving his stick tape laying around on one of the shelves out in the garage, because that definitely kicked the light bulb on. So, alrighty, so I do want to get started on our pet project. No dogs, no cats, no birds, no lizards, no furry creatures involved. So unless you choose to use pet paper to do your tags. But these, as I said, the PET stands for pockets, envelopes, and tags. And so I'm planning, this is something I talked with Joy about a few weeks ago, though I didn't have it named at that point, but doing different kinds of, it can be simple. I'm trying not to get them too complex because I tend to do that, but some simple but different and unique ways of doing some tags and some envelopes and pockets that can be added, again, to any envelope, or not any envelope, to any album. Mine, it's one of somebody else's, it doesn't matter, because doesn't matter who designed it. It's your album, so you can do whatever you want and add. Yeah, we may have lost some pet people who thought this was going to be a project about pets. So if I've lost you for that, I apologize. So, all right. So I'm just going to be doing mine just because I don't have a specific project that I'm going to be using these for. I'm just going to use Craft in Black because the contrast shows so well here on camera. I have a couple of things where I'll use some pattern paper for, but for the most part, I'm just going to make these simple and basic, and that way you can make some simple and basic ones, and then you can add them onto any project. You could add pattern paper as you see fit. You could do these out of any. I have at least one that I'm going to do. Am I doing that today? Yeah, I'm going to need some colored paper, so I'll have to grab some of that. But I'm just going to do some real basic ones to start with. I'm going to do this one just out of a craft. Now, this size can be any size. You can make them bigger or smaller, depending on the size of the pocket you want, that sort of thing. But I'm going to cut a piece that, to start with, is twice as tall as what I want it to be. So I'm just going to use the width of my paper, which is, the 8.5. And it's like, let's do this one. We'll do this one 3 inches wide. We've got an 8.5. And then I'm going to cut a little strip of my black. I think I'll cut this one like 3/4 of an inch wide. And this is totally arbitrary. I'm just going to make it, since I did this one 3 inches wide, and let's make this 3.5 inches long. It doesn't matter. I'm just making this be a long, skinny little piece. Dimensions on this are not critical. I'm going to fold this in half. You can have it folded in half. You could also have it folded offset. I'm going to do it offset. You can do it either way. So I'm going to score this one at 4 inches instead of 4.25. 4.25 would be middle, and that way when I fold it, I have a 1/2 inch extending back behind there. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this in half. This is curling paper, so let's see if I can get it to straighten out. There. Try to get it to flatten out. So with this one, this is going to be a tag that you can open up. You can do whatever you want to do on the inside with pattern paper. This size might work really well for some of those little Polaroid style photos. I'm also getting more into wanting, in my albums and stuff, I'm less about photos and more about the journaling or the story or a quote or something written, not just the photographs, but more written stuff in there. This is going to be a little tag that I'm going to add to it. So I need my hole punch. I can just use my crocodile for this. And I'm actually going to center this on here like so I can punch them both at the same time. I'm going to make the larger hole. So let's see, a little off center there. Come down. This thing is really stiff. I gotta soak it in some rubbing alcohol or something, because this is very funny. There, open up. I punched some things that had a bunch of adhesive on it, and so these little, these little posts that come up, they got a bunch of gooey on them. And so this opens and closes really slowly because there was so much adhesive on there. And so it just is really stiff. So I just got to soak it in a little bit of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, just to kind of clean that out so that it, because you can see I have to really squeeze, and watch how slowly it opens back up again because of the adhesive that's gotten down inside those holes. So, so if you're having that same sort of issue, that's what it's about. So on here, I can add some pattern paper. This little extra edge here, I can punch that edge. This is a little tag that I'm going to add just onto it. And on this, maybe I can use like my white pen. Let's see, let's go on the edge of here. So maybe I just write a word. Okay. One of the things, as you saw me, I didn't think about it. I just used a word and I just wrote inspire on there. So many people out there hate their handwriting. They hate it. But you know what? Your handwriting is part of the story. It's part of who you are. Whether you like your handwriting or not, it's part of you. And that's part of you that you should share. I have like the recipe cards that my mother-in-law, before the dementia set in, I had her fill out the recipe cards, so I had those to pass along to Sarah and Trevor of her Christmas cookies. Now, grant you, Sarah can't read cursive writing because she's that age group that they didn't teach cursive. Trevor can read them, but it's in her own handwriting. My mom, Joy, is a lefty, and she has probably some of the most beautiful handwriting I know. So I love that. Doesn't hold water with me that lefties have ugly handwriting, because my mom's handwriting is beautiful. So, so even if you don't like your handwriting, make sure you use it, because it's something. It's kind of like this whole thing where they're not teaching kids cursive these days. It's that same sort of thing. It's like we lose it if we don't use it. So, okay, I'm just going to round those little corners, and maybe I'll round both ends. So this is almost like a little dog tag type thing on there. So, and then I can, I want this to be a little tighter, a little closer. So even though I punched it at the same time, I think I only want like 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to put the edge of that hole at 1/4 of an inch. I want it a little bit close, the hole a little bit closer, and then I can go ahead and punch my corners. There, that looks visually looks better to me. So then I can put my cord through there and just have this little kind of dog tag with a word. It can have a quote. It could do just about anything on there. But use your handwriting. You could, if you really hate it that much, though, you could do some font on your computer, print it out on some pretty paper, and then cut this strip out from that. There's all sorts of stamp quotes that you could put on there, and that sort of thing, but add that on there. So, and then we can just add a piece of, here's just some narrow ribbon, a ribbon, cord, yarn, that sort of thing. And so, and if I just do this to where it's just a single loop, excuse me. Joey, I'll take a picture of some of my mom's handwriting and send it to you. She's also one who she doesn't do the upside down. She writes with her hand the regular way. So here's a cute little tag. So then it has this little, that little guy on there. And so you can add pattern paper onto it. But by having this loose, see, then that opens up the whole way. And so then this tag can also, it can be up here, or it can tighten up down up against the rest of the tag. So easy tag with just that little extra on it. you can do this long piece like this. You could also out of your out of an accent paper. What did I do? I know where did that punch go? Oh, there it's over there. I could also out of my accent paper. Maybe I do just a little round tag. Come on, open up. It's so slow. And maybe I take my white pen, so instead of this tag, maybe I have a tag that looks like this attached to it. And maybe with this one, I can write, it can be joy. Maybe I outline around the outside of it. Or maybe it's out of pattern paper, something like that. But, I can have a tag maybe like that instead of the long skinny one. Or, you can have them both on there. You can add little bits and pieces and tags to an already tag. So anyway, so there's the first one. There's a quick and easy little tag. Now I want to do one that's kind of got a little bit of a sleeve to it. So let's go ahead and cut. I'm going to cut this to be about 3 3/4. And then I want it to be, let's see, 2 1/2, 2 1/2. I want it to be about, I'm going to do this one because I need, I want it to be about 2 1/2 inches wide. So I need that. See, 2 1/2 and 2 1/2. No, I need to cut more off than that. So well, let's see. 3 1/2. Let's make it 2 1/2, 2 1/2. So that's 5. So I'm going to cut this to 6 inches wide. So I need to be able to do it into twice as wide plus 1/2 inch. Put my scoreboard on the wrong side. So all right. So 2 1/2 and 2 1/2, and I cut it still too wide. It needed to be 5 1/2. I wasn't doing math right today. So twice the width you want it to be plus 1/2 inch. And that's for that overlap on it. So we're basically just going to make a little sleeve. So I'm going to fold my little tab under. This is going to go over the top of it. Alrighty, so what I want to do on here is I am going to create a little window here on the front, and I'm going to have a little tag that slips down that pulls out of here, but then will fill the window. So I want to then mark, before I turn this into a little sleeve, I want to mark the center line or wherever you want the little window to be. I'm going to do a circular window. If you want to do a square window, you could do that. So here's my center. So I'm going to take and mark my center line. So I'm going to mark that center line so that then I can take my punch and I'm going to take it down about as far as this little punch will let me go. So I'm going to probably close to 3/4 of an inch down below the top line, which is perfect. So I can then erase my mark. All right, so then I'm going to punch my little string hole or cord hole. I'm going to do a smaller one on this one, and I'm going to come in about a quarter of an inch in, roughly centered. So I've got my little hole, my hang tag hole. I've got my little window hole here. So now I can go ahead and turn this into a sleeve. I can use either glue or tape. I'm going to angle off my corners slightly, or tab my corners as I've called it for years now. So I'm going to glue my tab, and I'm also going to glue a little bit on each side of my hang hole. Now I probably should have fed my cord through that hole before I did that. I'm going to leave this open at the end because I need to feed my cord through there before I close that up. So don't close, ignore the fact that I put the glue on the top. Leave it open, leave it a sleeve for the moment because I want to feed my cord up through there first. So alrighty, so now I need to fit my little tag that's going to fit in the sleeve. And this is where it can be a color or it can be a solid. Now, I want it to be just slightly under whatever width I made this. So if I made that 2.5, I'm going to be just slightly narrower than 2.5. So if I'm going to 2.5 and then just back it up, doesn't have to be specifically a 1/16 or something like that. Just back it up enough to where, you know, you can see, okay, I'm going to be a little bit narrower so that it will fit. So then I can slide this, make sure it'll slide up in there. It's like, yeah, nope, not yet. I need to make it a little bit narrower. You want it narrow enough that it'll slide in and out of our little sleeve. Glued. Sounds like me sometimes. You don't have to give a specific dimension. You cut it to the width of however wide you made this. To this side. No. However wide you made this, just a little bit narrower so that where it can slide in and out of the sleeve. Okay, and then so then if I hold kind of my thumb down, it's like, okay, I can go into there. So then I want it to, this is kind of like no measure type of thing. So then I'm going to have it hang down about 1/2 inch below that. Okay, so that'll slide in and out. Okay, I am going to take, I pulled some pattern paper out that had a small enough little butterfly on it. So I'm going to punch my little butterfly using my 1-inch circle. So this guy can sit in the window. So if I pop this up to where I want it to be, I can then mark it with a pencil where I want that window to be. Because then I can take this guy. So also is another place where you can use a word or something like that. And glue it in that little circle. No, it's just eyeballing it, Joy. It doesn't, I don't want to make these complicated math. So that's why I'm just saying, close enough. Because I know there are a lot of you out there that are allergic to math. So I'm not quite sure why this is really fuzzy. I don't know. Are a lot of you finding that it looks like it's fuzzy? So I'm not sure why. So okay, so that'll just slip right in there. So that little fits in the little window. When you pull it out, he's on here. So I want to grab a little bit of cord. Let's go for this cute little blue one. This has been in my stash for I don't know how long, so I don't know how goopy this tape. That's one problem I have with Scotch tape used on stuff like this, is it sometimes leaves adhesive down. Fortunately, this one did not. And then the quest begins to find, here's one end, but it's buried underneath. So the quest to find a loose end begins. Ah, haha. Something tucked in is usually a dead giveaway. And I found it. There we go. Okay, so I want to be at least a little bit longer than the length of my tag sleeve, so I'll go a little bit longer than that. So if that's my tag sleeve, as you can see, I'm a little bit longer and then double it. So then I am going to, oh, I have a cat who wants to come in. He's making no bones about it. Okay, so then up here, near the top, in that gap, this is going to make me crazy. I've got to fix those. I've added a little hole there, so that I can fish this through there. I'm going to then bring both of these up through my sleeve. And one each. Spit will always keep it kind of hooked. You can also use glue. So one of these is going to go through the front hole. And the other one come through there. I have a cat quite determined that I think she needs to get out. Let me grab her real quick and let her out. Pepper, do you want to get out? Are you trying to tell Mom something? Come on. All right, out you go. Come on. No. For those of you who've been around for a while, as you know, I will be interrupted no matter what by either a kid or a pet. The kids are not so much now as they've gotten older. The pets, however, don't grasp the concept of Mom's busy. All right, so this can then slip up inside of there. Got to fix that end. There we go. So I'm just going to loop these, overhand knot them close to the end. Like so. So then this will be able to pull out. I am going to either round or chamfer, which is an angle. Those corners, the round ones out. So I'm just going to round them. That way it doesn't catch as easily. I also need to fix the glue, which is not attached right there. Just glue that real quick. So that just slides up and through. And so it sits in the little window. Now I can, at this point, pull this down a little bit and I can run some glue now close to the edge to seal my little sleeve closed so that your tag doesn't go in too far. Keep it close to the edge. And just hold that for a second while the quick dry glue's closed. And then, so that makes a cute little tag. It's got a little window. It's got something here to pull. And so you could have something written on here you make it larger, or it could have a photo. You could do something on the outside of here, whether it's pattern paper or otherwise. But so then, cute little window tag. This could be pretty much, it could even be a face. You could have a picture under here where that's just a little face poking through, that sort of thing. It could be a little monogram, just a fun little pull-out tag. And this way the sleeve stays with it. Just pull on this, especially if you have the corners rounded. You pull on this, it just pulls right in. So there's another tag there. So let's see what I also have now still in my little goodie bag of tricks here. And that'll be a fun one. This is going to be more of a envelope, pouch, pockety type thing. Let's see. I didn't figure out dimensions on a lot of this. I think I'm going to do that one a little bit bigger. I'm going to do it, I think, out of a black, and I can do it a half sheet of 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to do it 4 1/4. Okay, so then now I have to figure out my dimensions for scoring it. So let's see, if I do, okay, this is 11, so why does it be 5.5? If I'm going to make it 5.5 high, I'll make it 5 high, so 2 and 5, and that will leave me 2, 4. Perfect. Okay, so I have a 11 by 4 1/4. I'm going to score it at 2 and at 7. So this is going to fold up, and this is going to fold down. It's almost like a matchbook type of little fold to it. So then this flap will flip up, and then I can have a little pocket inside. I can attach these sides together, whether I use little construction strip tabs on the inside so I get the full width, I do something on the outside, or I just glue those down. So for right now, I think I'm going to just glue these down. But before I do that, I want to get how I'm going to attach my pocket down. Now I'm having this flap come down, and it's overlapping a bit. It's overlapping. This one's overlapping an inch. An inch is probably more than I really need it to overlap. 1/2 inch minimum. But an inch is just fine. That way, if you want to do anything along this edge, you want to do a punched edge, that sort of thing, we can do that. So I think I'll do that. So let me grab a quick edge punch, and we will add that to our edge. I'm just going to grab something quick and simple. This one is called French Scroll. So nothing too wild, nothing too crazy. And then you could also add, some little pattern paper or colored paper back behind that, just to give it some more pizzazz. So if along that edge I wanted to add an accent strip, I could do that to give it just, a little stained glass kind of effect behind there. But I want to go ahead and do that. And then I also want to attach a bit of a cord or a ribbon to it. So maybe we'll use a nice piece of ribbon. And so I want it to attach into the inside. So what I might do is I'm going to take my craft knife. You could also punch a hole or you can cut a slice. If I have my hole punch, maybe I'll use that. How far down can I go? That's not very far. I need a long-reaching one. I know I have a long-reaching one. Here it is. Yeah, this one's not a very. This one has a little bit longer reach to it to punch it, and I'm going to eyeball it into the center. So, I kind of messed up the pocket. But you want to just make sure that whatever you do, if you cut a little slice to feed the ribbon through, you punch a hole like I did to feed the ribbon through, it needs to be below this edge. So I'm going to just, maybe I'll cut this. Oh, see, now she wants back in. She probably went to go eat or get something to drink, and now she wants back in. Typical. So just push this down through that hole. Smooth it out a little bit. And I'm going to just attach that down back behind there. Now, I'm going to be using this as a pocket, so I'm not going to want to fold this up because then it would catch on it. So I want it to fold down. And that's going to be a sufficient amount for it to attach to. Let me grab just a little bit of score tape, glue, tape, doesn't really matter which. Just want it to attach. Glue would probably be a little bit more secure, but for these purposes, I'm just going to attach it with my score tape. I'm probably going to go ahead and trim this little excess off like that. I just want it to attach to the inside. Ta-da, through the hole. So then it's coming out of the hole here on the outside. All right, so here on the outside, I'm going to use a strip of narrow. I can use the black. I can use a pattern paper. I can use my accent paper. I use a piece of that if I want to do that, or if I had some pattern paper, I would go ahead and use that. I might put it up closer to the top. In fact, I think I will put it up closer to the top, and I'm going to cut it probably down to about. It's not a critical dimension, 1/2 inch or wider. If you want to do it to where it's got pattern paper on top of it, you might want to go a little bit wider. Or if you want to punch edges, you can make it wider. You know, this is kind of just the basic of how this works and not critical dimension. So I'm just going to make this 3 inches wide. That's totally an arbitrary dimension. It doesn't have to be 3 inches. And I'm going to attach this. I can attach this down just gluing the ends. I can attach it. I could fold the ends under and attach it. I could use brads to attach it. Whatever visually you want it to do. So I'm just going to take some little dots of glue on each end. Attach it. I'm going to attach it. Oh, again, none of this dimension is critical. Maybe 1/2 inch. Well, I got some glue on it, so about there. That looks like a good spot. I got glue on it. So again, not a critical dimension to stick that down. I'm going to make my ribbon to where it goes up past the hole, and I'm going to give myself about 1.5 inches, or past this little thing, and I'm going to give myself about 1.5 inches so that I can attach something onto it. I can use a cut shape. So maybe like let me grab a butterfly punch. Do I have a butterfly punch or something like that? Here, I just happen to have some scraps of red, so we're going to make red butterflies. So there's my little red butterfly. That looks really, really yucky. with the green ribbon. So that's not working for me. Maybe we're not going to do a red butterfly. Maybe I can punch my butterfly. Let's punch my butterfly out of some of this. That would be much more attractive. There we go. That's a more attractive, much more attractive butterfly. That goes much better with my ribbon. So I can attach my ribbon to the back of it. Then if I want to do another butterfly, let's do a second one out of the same paper. Or I could do another shape, another color. So, because I can't stop myself, I have to ink the edges. There's something moving. Top right corner. Oh, it's my light keeps moving in there. That's probably why it's not focusing properly. It's focusing on that. Thank you, Susan. I was going to say, who is it who told me that? Susan, thank you for noticing that. My light, it's on a swing arm and it's swung over. So. Alright, so we're going to glue a little bit. This video, for those of you who are just coming in and not knowing what we're going to be making, what we're making, you'll be able to watch this video to see what we're doing after we're done. So you'll be able to go back and watch the video. Alright, so then we're going to glue these two together. And this, you know, I'm using a butterfly punch. This could be a little tag. This could be a tiny little, it could be a little circle. It could be kind of any shape, any die cut, as long as it'll fit through the little strip, opening in that little strip. So they're attached to the ends of my ribbon. There's a little butterfly, and I'm going to take my little butterfly, and then, oops, not that one goes on top. Pretty one goes on top, so we just flip this up, and he can hang over. He probably needs a little bit more weight on him. I probably, with him, would maybe add a little bead or something onto him to give him a little bit more weight, or he needs to be a little tighter up there at the top. So if this were shorter and he just popped up in there and then this would flip over, but he needs a little bit of weight, or it needs to be a little cord. But if he had some weight on him, maybe a little bead onto him to make a little dangle or a little charm, that's going to hold that closed. Now this then can go into an album so then this is going to be a little pocket here, so I can now close this up. So I can glue those down, attach them however I choose I want to do that. So then I can make some little tags that can go inside. So those close. Then when you attach this to a page, it can be a tag. This can be a piece all in and of itself. You can also then attach it to an album page in a U shape, whether it then feeds from the side or in a U shape this way so it feeds from the top. So this can be a pocket on a page that has a flap on it, or it can, as I said, be an insert that goes into a pocket as well. So, but this does need something with a little bit of weight to it to hold it down, and then that will hold this down a little bit to hold it closed. Maybe if I had used a string rather than the ribbon, it would, kind of lay flat a little bit, but it does need a little bit of weight to hang down, but it is holding that flap down. So it just feeds down through the little pocket. You could also do the opposite. Put this down here at the bottom and have my cord coming out from the top to where my butterfly, let's say if it were the other way around, pretend the flaps coming down this way and the pockets this way, then something, you could have something that would just feed down, especially if this were tight, you could have a little tag. So if this ribbon were just long enough and this were a little tag, he can just fit down into that little pocket. I've done those kinds of things on projects over the years. So that can just slip into the pocket and hold that closed. But with this one, it just kind of folds over. But with a little dangle on there, it would definitely hold that closed. So there's more of a kind of little envelope, pocket, pouch kind of thing. So that gives us, we've got 3 done so far. Let's see, what's another one? We can do one where we've got, there's a vellum. And I want it to be, let's make this one a little bit bigger. I'm going to cut this one to 5.5. With these, my idea behind doing these and doing some YouTube videos with these little, these pet projects is to kind of spark some ideas, spark some inspiration, so that, you know, there's any number of things that you can then use these for and do things with them. So if you have some ideas of, you know, other ways that you could use these, you know, that'll be awesome. So, all right, I'm going to cut this to 6 inches wide. It's 5.5 inches tall by 6 inches wide. I'm going to fold this in half. I tend to, on vellum, I don't like to score it, because if you score a little heavy-handed, it will score it so tight that your vellum could crack and break at the crease. So I tend to like to hand fold these in half. Okay, if you're having troubles with the video being a little bit blurry, Marilyn talked about changing the settings to 480, and then it's absolutely clear. So I'm not sure where under settings. Oh, under, is that, where is that under there, Marilyn, that, so that we can share that with everybody else as well. Now on this top edge, we can go ahead and close this top edge. You can glue it, use tape, sewing a zigzag stitch across there is fine. I'm just going to put a little glue across the top of this. Now you might have to play around with some glues too, because some are going to show more than others, so make sure you're nice and tidy with it on a vellum because it's translucent. Your glue may show depending on what you're using. So this one's going to be somewhat similar to kind of the same sort of thing we did on this with this window, but with it being translucent. Our little tag is going to fit up in there. So let's see, I did this 3 inches. I'm going to make this 2 3/4 of an inch wide, and this is 5.5 tall. So I'm going to make this 5 by 2 3/4. I want it just a little bit smaller than the vellum is. So I want this to be able to fit inside here. Just slightly smaller inside that vellum. Okay. Now, if you had something this is dark. If I had something on there that had light on it, then that will show. But or if you have something patterned on there, that will show as well. Since we've got our butterfly punch out, let's just bebop out another butterfly. Pop him onto the end there. Oh my goodness, Deborah, I cannot believe you're watching us all the way from Germany. She's from Australia, came here to the U.S. Of course, the U.S. was going through a deep freeze across the country. And then she went over to, you were in Scotland with your daughter, I believe, weren't you? And she's now been in Germany watching, I've been watching her travels. So I can't believe you're in Germany now watching us from Germany. She gets up at some ungodly hour to watch from Australia. You guys are more hardcore than I would. I would never get up to watch me. All right, my cat wants back in again. Silly, silly girl. Yes. Come on. No engraved invitations being awarded. There you go. So you can see if you have something patterned on the tag, you can see it through the translucent. So what this is going to do is I'm going to want this to swing out so that you can see the tag, and then this will swing back in. So we're going to need a brad to fit right underneath there. Now I know I had some brads around here. Where did I do with them? I tidied up, and I tidied up a little too much, and now I can't find things. And they were in a little container. Where are they? Okay, well, I found a tiny little brad, so we're just going to use that. It is a brad, right? Yeah, it is. Okay. Any kind of brad. Small brad. And I kind of want close to this corner. I'm coming in about 1/8 of an inch off of each corner, and then I'm going to put this into place where I want it to be. Probably would have been easier to do this before I glued that down, but it wasn't that difficult. So I can then punch this hole through only that layer. So I want this brad to go in there. And then through the hole on the vellum. So then he just kind of swivels out. So he shows up, hides away. I can then also take my hole punch up near here on the top. Where's the hole puncher thingy? This may be on the vellum, maybe something you would want to reinforce. Depends also on your vellum. Some vellums are a little bit more fragile than others. So you can make that decision as to whether you want to reinforce that or not. So here I'm just using a little bit of baker's twine. Pop that through the hole. this to come up through it. It's a little bit shorter. I'm going to untwist them a little bit, just because I like more of that untwisted look. So anyway, so that makes a cute little tag. You could also, on this one, this is another one where you could punch a little window in here to where you could see something in there, but then it swivels out. This could be solid. I'm using Vellum, but this could totally be a solid cardstock so that you have something out here. It could also, if you preferred it to swing out this way, you could swing it out that way. Because this is also something, if you did this out of cardstock and you attach this in a U shape, it could also be, I probably do it to where I attach it on this side, have the fold side be open to where that's a pocket, and then you could have also, if this is attached down, you could have some sort of little tab on this guy to help pull him out. You can look back on some of my videos, and I did some little hinged pocket things, and it kind of came out, and it was multiple ones. It's not dissimilar to something that I've done in the past. But this would also be nice if it had some sort of little tab on it. Even if it were just like a little ribbon tab here. Where's my score tape? Put a little piece in there. These could also be awesome as gift tags. Thank you for bringing that up, Monica. Great idea. You could totally make these as gift tags, any of these. But I just, want people to kind of be aware that the tags don't always have to be, let's go right here at the end. The tags don't have to always be just a packaging style of tag. So you have a little tab thing here, so it pulls it out, pops it back in. And again, this can be vellum like I've got here, but it could totally be pattern paper, solid cardstock, and then just have this guy hinge out. So there's another tag. Okay, but let's do one more. Let's do an envelope type thing. I need like an 8x8 square. How big is this? So this is 7 3/4. That'll work. I'm not going to waste a whole other sheet of paper for this. So 7 3/4. Oh, now I'm going to have to make sure I remember my math. You can use this little guy. Okay, this is going to stretch my brain. Remembering how to do this. Okay, here's a 7 1/2. Oh, let's cut this down to 7 1/2. Then I don't have to do any math. I can just use the thing that's on my Martha Stewart scoreboard. Oh, this getting so cluttered. And I know the clutter makes it very visually difficult to see things. So let me clear my desk up a little bit so it's not so cluttered looking. Okay. If I don't have to do the math, I'm not going to. So, all right. So I'm going to plop this little puppy on here for envelopes. An A or a 4-bar, which is a 7 1/2 inch square. So my A-line scores, so if I set this on the angle, start it down there, my A scores are at 2 5/8. Park that. How many of you ever use this little angled doodly-wop here on here? So 2 5/8. There's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 5/8. Whoops. Flip this around, opposite corner. Pop that down so it's up against there, 2 5. Oops. Jumped out of the hole. 2 5/8. So then my B's on a 4-bar are 3 1/4. So I have my corner there, and I come up here at 3 1/4. I'm here at 3 1/4. Perfect. So that gives me, it's going to be a little envelope. See, you got these little overlapping corners here, and we can snip those out. And this is going to be a little pouch, little envelope type thing. Can be used either way. So you use the tools you already have so that you don't have to do math. Because, you know, that math allergy is a tough one. Alright, so we're going to fold in the sides. I'm going to fix that boo-boo-doo-boo-boo-boo. Boo-boo-doodle. Smooth that out. Yeah, you can use a little envelope punch board. This can be any size. If you've got the envelope punch board, you can and then it has those little punchy-wunchy doodles there. So, hold that. Hold that. If I were truly making this totally into an envelope, fold that over. I did a really crummy job of trimming this. Using the envelope punch board. Heaven forbid we'd use it for punches. I use it for file tabs. I don't remember the last time I used it to actually make it an envelope. All right. So fold the sides in. Fold the top up. Now, if I were making this truly as an envelope, I would mark that point and that point, and I would cut that off. But I'm not using this necessarily as an envelope. Well, I am, but I'm not. So it's going to be to where so it can open up all the way. I'm going to would use this as a pocket. I would glue this down in a U shape so that it was a pocket, or you can glue it down the whole thing to where it's attached to a page, but it's going to fold up like this. Now I am going to take a scrap of my craft paper. I'm probably going to cut it about, let's cut it 1 inch. 1 inch wide, 1 1/4. Visually, I like the 1 1/4 a little better. And let's make it 4 inches line. Again, not critical dimension, it's just an arbitrary dimension because that's what looked good to me right now. I am going to take one of my tabs, thingy bobble doodles. Let's do it with the stub, since I know you can still get a hold of a stub one. So I'm going to stub my corners. So my stubbed corners. Okay, I've already got one circle here, so I can cut. I know my little punches in here. I just need to shrink down, but I'm just using that because it's scraps in here. I sometimes want to have 2 thicknesses, so again, I'm just going to use a scrap. So I can do a double thickness. This is like a 5/8, half-inch 5/8 circle. And I'll probably actually even do that out of black. But I'm going to have this to where, okay, this centers on here, about here. This one I want to, do I want it to attach there? Yeah, that'll work. I just want it to be to where it's easy to attach. Okay, I'm going to use, I need to find brads because I'm going to attach this one with a brad as well. So I got to find my brads. Where did they go? Who took my brads? Okay, this is frustrating because I have a whole little tub of them, but where did I put them? Now, if I weren't doing the show, they would be sitting right here and I would find them easily. So I'm sure people who are watching this on YouTube are like going, oh my goodness, she should be better prepared. Well, usually I am, but they're hiding on me. Wherefore art thou brads? Somebody. This is insanity. I have a ton of brads. Where are they? Okay, my frustration level is now very, very high. Where are you hiding? All these drawers, all this stuff, and my brads. Where are they? Aha! Found them. Okay. Told you they were a little stashy-roo. Let's see. Let's go with kind of bronzy ones. There's two bronze. Let's punch a little hole. This has got stuff all over. It's got glue all over it. Of course it does. So does this one. Okay, well, we got a hole punched in it. So if I close my little envelope up so that I can have him center, I can mark that so that I can punch my little hole there too, so that I can attach. And you can ink this, do whatever it is you want to do to it. That sort of thing, pattern paper, all that good stuff. Pattern paper is going to cover over the back of my brad. Alright, so close that. That's going to attach like so. Now this guy's going to go down here at the other end. I'm going to ink the edge of him so that you can see him. I probably should have done him out of black so you could see it. I'm going to do him out of black so that you can see him. It's just would look better instead of say, imagine. I'd rather it be actually the color that I want it to be. Okay, so that just took a second. All right, so punch, bam, right down the center. Pop my little, so let's see, where do I want it? Let's take it out because I want to place this. Eyeball where you want it. Punch the little hole. Punch it a little bit bigger. Pop this guy through it. Now we don't, this is going to be a little string tie thingy here on it. So we don't want it too tight. So keep it pretty loosey-goosey on the back so that you can get underneath it. So then we can close this little pouch up here. Oops. I want this guy underneath. So let's put this one down, kind of roll it out of the way, spin it out of the way, spin this one out of the way. Because then we're going to take some of our little cord. Let's do the red one on this one. I'm just going to cut a plenty long enough piece because I don't really know exactly how long I want it to be. So I'm going to just go underneath here and loop it here so that I can tie it. That way it'll still spin and everything. But I can tie it outside. So I can leave that little tail there if I want it, or cut it off, either way. I'll fray it up here in a minute, but then this can then wrap around the back side and hook like so. I'm going to tie, let's unloop it so I can tie an overhand knot in the end. So I can have it fray, but not too far down. Okay, so then that can loop up and around there. So that gives a closure for the envelope. Can have a little quote on there or something like that. So this can be, I could see this one being something that hinges. You could put a little hinge here onto a page. It can hinge, it can be loose, but I could totally see this hinging, and you can have something underneath it then. But it needs to be free in the back to be able to have this go around. So then this can swing out of the way, and this could totally, whoops, maybe not swing out of the way. So then you can open it up. This could be a photo, it can be a journaling spot, pattern paper, and so flip, flip. This can swing out of the way and flip over, swing out of the way and flip over, and then it wraps around and hooks close. A little bit different way of closing an envelope. So anyway, that gives us a few little fun ways of doing some of my pet project. Pockets, tags, pockets, envelopes, tags. So we got an envelope, we've got several tags, and we then have a pocket here. This is a pocket. So you can see it's not furry little creatures. That is my pet project, but rather some unique, fun ways that may be a little bit different ways of doing pockets, envelopes, and tags than you may be using on a regular basis. You know, yeah, it's fun to be able to just grab some. Now, supposed to be grabbing this quickly here. You know, using these kinds of tags are also fun, and we'll be doing some stuff as I do videos for more and more tags. I'll be using some of these, but these are fun. But everybody has these in their albums. If you do something like this, you maybe have something a little bit different. So maybe these can go inside, and then you can, well, maybe this, I know Monica suggested maybe this there. That holds them a little bit tighter closed. So there's just different ways of doing the same sort of thing. So, and then we have this guy to open up. So anyway, maybe this has sparked some ideas of things that you can do to make your albums a little different, a little unique, a little special. So anyway, I think those will be a lot of fun. All right, let me real quick pop up to a little bit different view. And so hopefully you're going to enjoy this pet project. I figured this is going to be something that I can do quick little YouTube videos. I will probably do just a single 1 or 2 tags in each of the videos, and those will be on my YouTube video, my YouTube channel, on the regular YouTube channel. So this is also something as needed we can fill in on the live YouTube shows when I don't have a project quite ready to go yet. We need something to fill in between projects, that sort of thing. So this is something I literally have about several hundred sketches as little ideas pop into my head that I've got jotted down in my notebook. I have a notebook that I carry around with me all the time. So anyway, it's been fun doing something a little light, a little quick, a little easy for a change. But we do have some fun projects coming up. As I said, the angel will be the first one. The next thing I'm working on is the In Suspense steampunk project, part of that steampunk series. So that's another one that I have coming up as well. So some fun stuff coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. And also, yeah, the other thing too is don't forget about using the hockey stick tape for joints on an album cover. I'm super excited about this because it's just I think it's going to make for a really great joint on those, and pattern paper will go right over it. So alrighty guys, thank you as always to Lois and to Joy for helping me out by moderating. They help keep the trolls at bay. I wish I had a moderator on my email and stuff like that, but I'm good at the delete button. So anyway, everybody have an amazing week. Probably I have it on my schedule to be on Tuesday, but you want to make sure and check tomorrow afternoon to make sure. But 3 o'clock we're going to do on Tuesday, a little bit different. We're used to doing Wednesdays. I want to try a Tuesday and I want to try a Thursday as well, to see which day of the week we want to do it, whether we want to switch to a Tuesday or Thursday, or if we want to keep it on Wednesday. Any of those work for me. It's just, I know that Wednesdays sometimes are hard for Joy to join us, and so she does such an amazing job of helping me out moderating. I want her to be able to be here. So, but I want to kind of experiment and see what day works for the most number of people. And as I said, for the time being, those will be in the afternoon, as the shift my husband is currently working. He is now gone in the afternoons and evenings, and so I want to keep my mornings free to be able to have some time with him. So alrighty guys, so thank you all so much, and those of you who are watching this YouTube video, enjoy and thank you. And you can find any of my patterns and other project videos are available over on my website at lauradenisondesigns.com under the archives tab. I have all of my videos from past projects from when we were doing them on Ustream, as also here on YouTube. I don't typically leave project videos or my live videos here on YouTube. Typically, they are available over on my my website. They're also available in the schedule tab under the date in which we did the actual live event. And then specific projects are listed under the archive videos. If you purchase a pattern and don't see the video for that, please feel free to get in touch with me via email, because I don't have all of them put into the archives just yet. Many of them are still in the schedule because I was really dumb and didn't put them in both places there for a while. And I will get them transferred down into the archives tab. So they're listed alphabetically under the archives. Those are all free to watch. Thank you to those of you who have helped me out with the storage for those videos by giving me a small nominal donation. That is totally and completely an optional thing to do. I don't require it. I want my videos to be free for those who wish to watch them. You're not required a subscription. You don't have to pay for them. But it is greatly appreciated. It does cost quite a bit for me to be I have a terabyte worth of videos now available, and it costs a little bit to keep those available. So those of you who have donated, I greatly appreciate it. You can donate at any time. It's via PayPal. Super easy. So thank you, as always, for that. Excuse me. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me here in my studio. And again, have an awesome week. If you can't join us on Tuesday, the video for the live shows is always available in the calendar and the archives for any of the projects. If you don't see it here on YouTube, it's over on my website. So yeah, it's several hundred. Well, we're going back 10 years now, Christine. We're going back quite a ways, and that's a lot of videos, because for most of those 10 years, I've done 2 to 3 shows every week. So there's been a lot. So alrighty, I have to stop and read the chat every once in a while. So thank you all so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. So peace out. Love you guys all bunches. Bye for now. It won't click off. Okay, so recording should be off. It doesn't want to stop. What did I do? Oh, I love technology. It doesn't want to shut off. The button doesn't want to work. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I love this. It seemed to shut off the recording. Are we having fun yet? Why is this doing this? I've got this weird double-ended arrow I've never seen before. This is strange. Okay, come on. I wonder if I can shut it off up here. No, it won't let me shut it off up there. I have to shut it off the broadcaster. Why won't it stop? Escape. Oh. There we go.